Chris, I'd like to pull back for a second and talk about the big picture of college athletics, because you've been at the forefront of this for so long, being the host of Game Day for 25 years now, for many, many years being the voice of the primetime game and the national championship game as well, and the Rose Bowl so often. You've done that game for so long, and this year we've seen opt-outs in the Rose Bowl, and a lot of folks but they can't believe what's happening. And not to isolate that one game, but overall, I'm curious, and I know everyone else is as well, what your thoughts are on college football at the moment.
Well, it's complicated. I love the sport. I will always love the sport. I think it's more useful to talk about acceptance than it is to complain about what's going on, what's not as good about the current sport than what we're used to when we're growing up. I mean, you can do that, obviously. And the opt-outs in the Rose Bowl, I'm going to call the Rose Bowl. We're jumping on a plane right after the game and headed to Pasadena and calling that game on New Year's Day. So having 4 opt-outs, 4 really important players for Ohio State, it's that takes you back, because you don't used to see that in the Rose Bowl. But I don't think that I don't think it's a shock to anybody. I think that the fluidity of rosters, the overall confusion that creates, having to constantly 365 be monitoring the portal. I mean, coaches can not like it, and they can complain about it, but it's the reality. And you either adapt and figure out ways to make that work to your advantage, or you get swallowed up and you get bypassed. And that's the same of any job in the world. And it's certainly been true in the history of this sport. You adapt or you get run over. And I think that the programs that will adapt to the modern reality, it's uncomfortable. Coaches coming and going, players coming and going. But the exciting part of it is, if you want a silver lining it, is that look how you can have these amazing transformations of teams. You can build, Utah's got a bunch of guys that have come in. Michigan State, look what they did. I mean, there's the opportunity to get fresh blood, to have teams rise from the ashes, because you can use the portal to your advantage. There's downsides to it, obviously. You'd like guys to have more buy-in, more enduring loyalty, but, loyalty to themselves is important too. And you can complain about it, but it ain't changing.
Final question, and I know that you're at the pinnacle of the profession, and every sportscaster would love to do what you do, but you just said something interesting. You're calling the biggest game of the weekend on Friday night, and then you're leaving to go west to cover the game that is the granddaddy of them all. Obviously you'll try to catch a couple of hours of sleep, but how do you prepare for that? And I ask you that knowing I've seen you a million times at the championship game, and where you've gotten on a plane the next day and flown to Australia for the Australian Open. So you've been through some time changes in your career, but that's still a pretty confined period of time to do 2 huge games.
It's pretty exciting, man. It's actually 4 games in 11 days, Paul, and I'm grateful for the chance. You're exactly right. Everybody who does this job would love to have the opportunity to do these big games. So there's no time to be tired about it, and you get sleep when you can. Here's my chart. I'll give you a quick. This is what the chart looks like for the. I've got one just like it for the Rose Bowl that was already filled out. You kind of do the prep for the second game first. I put that to bed about 4 or 5 days ago. Still talking to the odd Utah or Ohio State player on the phone, but it's 98% done. As soon as this game is finished tomorrow night, put this chart away, open that chart, dive into the Rose Bowl, and then on the flight back from LA, hopefully at that point we'll know which NFL game we're doing a week from Saturday, because Kirk and I are going to do a Week 18 game, and then ESPN has 2 games, so we're going to do one of them before going to Indy for the championship game. So I'll say this. If the Bearcats shock the Crimson Tide, I got a lot more work to do next week than if Alabama wins.
I got a bar mitzvah I need you to speak at a week from Saturday, right before the Monday night game.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.